I said I would make a video about Pluto in Aquarius. Aquarius is not attached. It is a seasonal depiction of the time of year when, in the northern hemisphere, within the simulation, we have a cold, hard winter in which we are not able to go out and do what we want, and we're not sure whether we're going to live or die. And it's a time of inward looking into your own heart and your own philosophy. And often you will find that your philosophy does not fit with the narrative. That's called the eccentric or the wise fool, the outcast. Aquarius has to do with being a hermit and going your own way. So when Pluto enters that ability to be your own philosopher, your own wise fool, your ability to look within to your own heart and not be part of the narrative, Pluto is the destroyer of that possibility. So if you think about what Pluto does in the simulation, it is the ruthless ripping away of whatever sign that it's in. If it conjoins a planet or a point, say Pluto at your ascendant, there is a ruthless ripping away of your vitality, of things that would otherwise allow you to breathe. So when Pluto is in Aquarius, it's that etheric connection, the electromagnetic body that is the ether, that Pluto is destroying. And how will that happen? I want to make this video without being censored, so I'm just going to share an image about how that will happen. Okay, and if I say those words about black goo being injected, being eaten, being sprayed, it's in water filtration systems and so forth now, then I'll be censored. So part of Aquarius is the ability to say what you want to say and be outside of the box of the narrative. And when Pluto is in that realm of the eccentric wise fool who won't behave and knows their own philosophy and their own connection to the ether, when Pluto is there, it destroys that. And that is what I've been trying to explain, that this that is happening right now is already written. So we're in what I call the Monty Python show, and you're just witnessing, scene 26 in the Monty Python show, is that what's happening right now is the black goo that is the demonic is being ingested by us, whether we like it or not. And pretty soon, the hive mind of the human experience will be all controlled by the false and yet another level of the simulation, a fake type of reality. And that's pretty much how Klaus Schwab, I don't know how to speak very clearly, which is part of this whole ingress of Pluto at 29 degrees, leaving Capricorn and moving into Aquarius, is the censorship and being able to speak outside in the narrative is probably going to get quite strong. And then with the amount of cyber control that will happen, I'm not even sure that we will be connected to that internal guidance system anymore, because the hive mind is Pluto's ability to take over the wise fool eccentric that is Aquarius. Now, my IC and my Mars are in Aquarius, so I tend to be very Aquarian. So everything about me is out of the box. I flip the script, I change the narrative, I won't behave, I'm super rebellious, I don't have a lot of filters, I don't care what people think of me. That's Aquarian. So when Pluto starts to destroy that out of the box expression, someone who is thinking outside of the control mechanisms, it's because the graphene stuff is being sprayed. It's in the snow. If you dissolve the snow, you'll see little tiny black particles. I don't know how the heck I'm going to say what I need to say, which is the next piece of this is I think that censorship is going to become quite extreme. And those people who are allowed to say something are puppets. They're being controlled. They are already part of the false Ethernet and just streaming that information through. So censorship is probably going to be quite extreme. This period happens from mid-March through 2044. So Pluto's journey through Aquarius and the ruination of all the wise philosophers is going to become quite apparent. And then you will see a hive mind come about where everyone is in the same weird box of information, and social control happens by suppressing any kind of thinking outside of that box. With Pluto moving into Aquarius, you'll see a lot of people calling it the golden age of Aquarius. Yes, that's what they'll think. They'll think that they're happy, but as Klaus Schwab said, you'll own nothing. You'll be happy, but you'll own nothing. How is that going to be accomplished? Well, you won't know that you are unhappy because the mechanism that is controlling your electromagnetic body is going to be the black goo. And to me, it's across the board. I've shared again and again that it's in everything. It's in the snow. It's in the water filtration systems. It's in things that you would eat. It's, as I just showed you, it's inserted in everything because it has no nutritional value. It's because the cyborg race is the next race. So if you don't consent, like I get these really funny people who are going, I'm not having that. I'm not consenting to that. That's very interesting. How are you doing that? Are you not drinking the water? Are you not touching the snow? Are you not eating food? Are you not breathing the stuff that's floating around in the nanoparticles? Like, how are you doing that? The other thing that I see with this is the 8th house of death is what Aquarius is in the theme of Monday. So in the theme of Monday, the first house is always Cancer. Modern astrology says it's Aries. It has nothing to do with Aries. The first house is always Mother, Water, Cancer, feminine. And the 8th house is Aquarius. And the 8th house is basically death. It's the house of the setting sun, which in the seasonal depiction, that is that time of year when it's very dark. It's super hard to survive. But with Pluto, it's going to amplify that feeling of being trapped, like cabin fever. And with Pluto, I think that there's also the death of death. So one thing that I wanted to share in this Pluto in Aquarius video is that the next thing, as I shared about futurism.com, is they're not expecting anyone to be allowed to leave this realm ever again. So they're trying to make the death of death so that you will be an immortal hologram. So you won't be meat anymore, you'll be meta. M-E-T-A. Meta. So changing meat from meta. And so I was talking to my elder yesterday, who is 85 years old, and she kind of knows about what this whole cyborg thing is and the censorship that's happening so that you won't get any information except what Google tells you. You know, you won't be able to think outside of that box because Google did not tell you, so therefore that can't be true. So that's part of the death of the Aquarian thinker. And my client is an Aquarius. She was born February 15th, 1938, and she might even listen to this video. I said, so how will that be for you if they're collecting your personal data right now and they're going to make an avatar of you that people can still communicate with? Do you want to have like a avatar version of you that looks like young and healthy and has all your knowledge of chemistry and everything, and they're going to collect all your data and make you into this immortal hologram avatar? She was like, no way, I want to get out of here. If there's anything I want to get out of here. So the next part of Pluto moving into the 8th house of death of Aquarius, I believe, is the really obvious stuff from futurism.com, the singularity, in which you're merged with an AI being. You've got all the black goo inside of your body and you can't die. So knowing how to leave the body is why I did the sample dismemberment journey. I'm not trying to save the world. So I found this really funny. Someone suggested that I make my videos in the nude so that I could save the world better. I mean, that's a really great idea. I like that in the Monty Python show. Honestly, what I'm doing is I'm trying to collapse this whole thing by allowing some of the souls to realize what we're in, that we're in a machine. And those souls are the divine spark that feed the machine. But if you can't die, if you don't have a meat suit anymore, and you are a cyborg, that's the death of death. So that's why I've been explaining this is the last leaving that we'll be able to do from this realm. So that would go along with the Gnostic text, though, that Yaldabaoth's realm was allowed because there would be this decision, there would be this time where, in Yaldabaoth's mind, the majority of people wanted to be traumatized again and again and again and chose this realm. Now, how will the computer simulation that we're in feed? How will it take your electrical body and turn it into the machine powering system? Well, everyone will be arguing online, which I can already see. The amount of people who are doing critical thinking, which is really profound, but they're criticizing other people so strongly that the argument back and forth on the internet is all that this thing needs as loosh to power the machine. It doesn't need you to go to war and have your meat suit hacked up with a knife anymore. The military people that I know all work online. My clients who are military literally sit in front of a computer all day, because now weaponry has to do with what's coming across the Ethernet, what's coming across, and everyone's argument within that realm. Now, we've heard from the World Economic Forum just about 3 weeks ago that in the next 2 years they expect all weaponry to be done by hacking entire countries, hacking the entire electrical system of a country so that their grid is compromised. Yeah, I think that that is what's going to go on with Pluto and Aquarius also. And they're telling us about it because they are aware of how this machine works. So I want to point something out that people are going to be very upset with. Nobody is doing anything. It's just happening. So the more that you want to vote for the right candidate, he's going to get us 6G, you know, you're just giving consent to the machine and you're believing the storyline in the machine that's already scripted, that's already written, that you're then applying argument and energy to and therefore feeding it, those people at the World Economic Forum aren't doing anything. They're already like, oh, there's the guy from scene 26. It's just happening. So how do you respond to this that's happening is you witness the Monty Python show and you go, wow, watch, look at that. Wow, look at that. But if you're actively like fighting and think that you're going to win against the World Economic Forum, then you're feeding the machine. Because those people, they know what this thing is. You think that they don't know that we're in some kind of a holographic projection run by the demonic? Of course they know. And they have the best astrologers in the world who are not messed up like all the people who are on Google. You Google some astrologer, I can't even believe what has happened to astrology. I can't look at anything in terms of predictions for Pluto and Aquarius because they're all wrong. They're calling it the golden age. Oh, it'll be golden for sure because it'll be a hive mind where they tell you that you're happy and so maybe you are. Or the other thing about neuroscience and nanotechnology is they can tell you to crash your car and you will. And then they'll upload you to the metaverse, which is really terrifying, but that's what James Giordano said in his 2017 lecture at West Point, was we can make you a super soldier or we can make your biochemistry run so that you get sick or we can cause you to crash your car. So that I'm also seeing now, and yet that's in the script. Nobody is doing anything to anyone. You're just in a pre-scripted movie. So someone asked me, like they don't want to know this, but isn't it possible that there is no free will here? That's right, you're in a movie. The only thing you can do is you come to the movie and you see that it's a movie, that it's illusory, but it's painful when you're here. Like I think of that Monty Python scene where the knight is like guarding some bridge and he has to guard the bridge and the other guy like chops off his arm and then he chops off his leg and the guy is just still fighting and he chops off the other leg. So the guy's just a torso on the ground, but he's still fighting and he can't die. To me, that's the next scene of the movie. The next scene of the movie and the Monty Python show is that scene where you could chop up the meat suit, but now he's a digital thing and he can't die. I think we're going to see that. It's going to be quite challenging. The thing that is happening while Pluto moves into Aquarius is Saturn will move into Pisces. So those things happening at the same time. Saturn is the gatekeeper, the threshold that you have to go through to recognize what Pluto's doing, and Saturn will move into Pisces, and Pisces usually has like a real empathetic, sympathetic, merging all of us together, oneness type of feeling to it. Like Pisces is always the dreamer who dreams that we're all one and we all love each other and it's all going to be great. Well, when Saturn, the Grim Reaper, moves into Pisces, I think that it's going to hit pretty hard that we're in a realm that has nothing to do with goodness or love or what we call source or creator. We're in a realm that I would call hell. And if there's anything that will make you realize that, it's when Saturn moves into Pisces and Pluto moves into Aquarius. They knew that. I mean, obviously the script is already written, so what's being distributed right now as nutritional is turning your body into a cyborg in which you're going to suddenly realize where you are and not be able to do anything about it. I think that's the Pluto and Aquarius, Saturn and Pisces type of feeling, that we've been severed from all that is good and we're utterly on our own here. So I don't know how that will pan out for your chart particularly, but remember, all of my videos are free on Vimeo. They're from 4 years ago when I was just starting to realize that we were in a simulation, and all this baloney about 5D was part of that show to keep you in hopium opium. I call it hopium opium, but it's definitely hit that level of, you know, this is the slaughterhouse. We're in the slaughterhouse. And a client told me this week about some kind of movie called A Good Place, where, yeah, good things happen, and oh, you got a new house. Oh, you got a new dog. Oh, you got a brand new baby, except now that baby is going through a sex change because the morphogenetic field for transgendered people is very strong right now. And so that morphogenetic field, that the children, you know, you can think that they're being brainwashed, but basically they're coming into a morphogenetic field that will no longer allow gender identity. And that will then create that next level of hive mind, which I've already spoken about. This is all a package that is happening. I don't care whether you think you're going to consent to it or not consent to it. It's happening. So my thing is, there is no free will here, except that you realize that you're in a Monty Python movie and you're witnessing what is going on. And, you know, you're not fighting it because it can't be fought. You're just witnessing it. That's the main thing. So this series of TV shows called A Good Place, I never watched it. I can hardly get internet here. I have to go somewhere else to load my videos, so I can't like ever watch anything here. And I don't want to, because it's important, but you know, apparently this movie, The Good Place, I don't want to look it up because I don't want to get that kind of imprint on me either. But apparently, you know, good things can happen, but it's because then a disappointment will happen, like your child will die in some car accident because they're remotely controlled with neuroscience, and it's within the script, so it's allowed because you're in Yaldabaoth's realm. This is the realm of the fallen angelics, the severed ones. And that's where you are. You're in their machine. So as long as you're in their machine, you're working their program. So studying things like, you know, those type of movies, The Good Place, and understanding is one way to do it. The other thing is just look at your daily activities. Are you ashamed or affronted by anyone's opinion of you? If you are, that's the mechanic of control that you'll meet when you're not in your meat suit, is those machine elves, which are not elves, by the way. They're just digital things that Terence McKenna called elves. Those digital things will know, they'll have your number, and they'll know how to shame you and blame you. So the key to studying your daily mechanics is not necessarily to watch TV shows like The Good Place, but to watch your interaction with things. Are you trying to convince people of something that there's no way that those people can hear because they're already uploaded into the metaverse and they're full of graphene oxide and they can't hear you anyways? Or they're non-source players. As Barry Long said, one of my teachers said, not everybody's real. Not everybody is real. Now that was way back in the 1990s when Barry Long was speaking about the fact that most of this is a figment of our imagination. All those persons are figments of your imagination, and they're there to uphold the narrative, but also to possibly die terrible deaths of starvation or homelessness. And I don't want to say that not everyone's real and not have empathy for the condition of the slaughterhouse, but a lot of persons who are here are part of the AI program. They're appearing, and are you wasting your time trying to convince them? That's why, my dear friend, Mr. Truman, I'm not doing my videos in the nude or trying to attract more attention, because I know that there's probably only a handful, maybe only 1,000 people within my realm who are actually real. So I'm not interested in convincing the rest of the people. I'm not going to put on white robes of a guru and pretend to know something. I did have some guru type person get on my page and argue about, why am I questioning whether it's real or not? Just be in your happy place. You know, I'm going, folks, that guru thing was wearing her weird white robes is a narrative upholder. She's calling herself a guru. People are calling her ma something or another. She's wearing her white robes. Immediately I know that that's a non-source player who is giving me the narrative. I don't care whether it's real or not. I'm not going to argue with you, because that's how the narrative upholders, these non-source players, grab your energy, you with the divine spark. So I don't argue. You know, I just like, whatever. You think you're a guru, go ahead. You know, there are only a few of us here who are the original embodied divine spark of this place. If we leave, this whole thing is going to collapse. So for me, understanding what this thing is what's important. That's what I'm trying to explain. I also had a client say, oh, you know, I would come back for my daughter if she was stuck here. Folks, there is nothing you can do for your daughter. I have 2 daughters. There is nothing you can do. You would still be inside of the machine with a script, which is basically the archonic structure of your astrology map. You're not going to be able to help that person if they're coming through the morphogenetic field for the loss of gender identity. They're coming through that. That is going to be their experience. Why are you even attached to them or that? That's how they get you here. The next morphogenetic field with Pluto and Aquarius is going to be the cyborg race. I don't care if you think you have a golden star child coming in and you're going to provide this golden star child who's going to save the world, and you're crazy. You're bringing them into the morphogenetic field of Pluto and Aquarius, which is the death of death, meaning that everyone who comes in now is going to be cyborg. And I would like someone who has been pregnant and realized that that thing inside of them was a cyborg to make a video with me. I'm asking you to really look at this, folks. Whatever you think that you can do for your children and then get trapped in coming back here again, you're way off. I had people witness the environment that my children lived in, and they thought I was the best mother ever. My older daughter won't speak to me, has not spoken to me in over 3 years, and there's nothing that I can do about that, because that is the morphogenetic field now of that ruination, basically, of love between families, between man and woman, right? The loss of gender identity, and now between families also. So yeah, whatever. If you want to bring children into the cyborg situation and you heard some guru tell you, oh, it won't be allowed, God or Kali or whatever is not going to allow that, go ahead, folks. It's really like whatever. But I would like someone to make a video with me who has decided to terminate a pregnancy because they realized that the thing inside of them was not the feeling of a natural child, was not ensouled in the way that we have been, and is coming through a morphogenetic field of the cyborg race. So let me just see. So studying the mechanics, one of the mechanics that I want you to study in your day-to-day activities is, where do you waste energy with your desires and your attachments for convincing anyone of anything, or your desires or attachments of being liked, you know, of putting on a personality and having a certain filter to somehow be liked. Because if anything that happens here shames you, that's what's going to happen to you outside of here. And the next piece is study your attachment to your own soul, because I really think that as much as I'm explaining to you about how to go directly to the void, there are many layers that have been discussed of then those elves, those machine elves, can get really nasty and they can threaten to electroshock you to oblivion so that your soul is electroshocked into oblivion. So the next piece that I've also been really studying as a reflection of Pluto and Aquarius, of the death of death, is I have to be so willing to leave this realm that my consciousness no longer exists, meaning there's nothing that can be held over me. If I get to, the outer 12th dimensional wall of this realm, and that has some electroshock therapy that threatens to completely exterminate even the consciousness of my soul, have at it, bud. For me, there is nothing that will keep me in Yaldabaoth's realm, including the complete disintegration of self. So wherever your desire is, that's where the mechanics in the 12th dimensional artificial structure, that's where they'll get you. If you're attached to your cat, they're going to get you with your cat. That's why Neem Karoli Baba said, if you loved the absolute as much as you love your cat, you would be free. The absolute has nothing to do with anything here. That's why Neem Karoli Baba said he didn't need anything. He didn't need to eat. He didn't need to sleep. He didn't need an outfit. He didn't need a cat. He didn't need disciples. He didn't need a place to live. He didn't need shoes. He didn't need to have his teeth fixed. That's why Neem Karoli Baba has been the one Baba that I have really looked to since I was probably 25 years old as the great one who came, and now all of those great ones are gone because they've all taken the death meditation before this Aquarian infringement upon our ether selves and starts to harvest us from the ether level. So you won't have a meat suit to harvest from anymore. They will harvest from the etheric level. So let's look at that. In one of the first incidental experiences I had with the void when I was, around 25 years old, I just kind of swooned and went into the void. And many of you have already heard that story from me, where I just was suddenly in this black fabric of space, and there was no time, and there was nothing there, and nothing here, and it was just this relief, actually. And then when I came back, I started to feel like absolute ecstasy in my physical body. But the thing is, when I was coming back, I looked, and all I saw was white, luminescent beings, like electromagnetic ether beings. They looked like what you call bioluminescence. Each of us is a brilliant white light bioluminescent being outside of the meat suit. You're this very luminescent, it looked white and sparkly, okay? And then what I saw was that white and sparkly was then animating all the structures. So the white sparkly was coming out of each human, and it was making like the tables and the chairs. So you are an electromagnetic being of luminescence. That's what you are. And that spark that you are is what makes the hologram appear real. So it is actually powered by you. And according to a conversation with Dr. Tom Cohen and the person who works with the Solari Project, Catherine Austin Fitz, apparently the next level is to integrate a harvest system of the human body in an entirely new way, accelerating and launching the central bank digital currencies such that each human body is the asset and the battery that runs the digital currency, and they will be hooked to that electromagnetic part of you so that it funds this matrix that is meta, and it also socially controls you so that if you're not behaving in any way, it can suck more battery power from you. So you basically are already the currency of this realm. But they're figuring out, obviously, because that's what this realm does, is how to keep you here permanently and punish you through these digital currencies if you're not behaving. So your electromagnetic body, like mine, is always being hit by the weird 5G weapons. Your electromagnetic body can be hit again and again. I would say that you have to be ready for that level of infringement. They're doing it to me all the time. And so I was walking up the hill yesterday. I could hardly breathe. And I was just going, I'm not this body. They're trying to obviously hook into my electromagnetic body. And the thing is that I'm also recognizing that I have to witness the fact that the new level of ether control is going to be quite strong. So you think that you're not going to consent to this. You got a whole new level of being able to play the game here. And the game that you're playing is in your astrology map. So, you don't have to hire me. Nobody needs to email me. You don't need to ask me questions. Go ahead and study yourself. There's 125 free videos at Galactic Astrology on Vimeo. I offered all of my astrology books this week. I was going to send them all off. Whoever wants them, $50 for the media mail for me to send this 9 or 10 astrology books. Nobody wanted them. So for me, it's like, don't ask me questions without the proper energy exchange. And somebody was giving me some crap about that too. And they were like, what are you talking about? Cosmic charging? There's so many fabulous little boys out there, aren't there? Hi, little boys. I see you. I have great compassion for you. Anyways, yeah, if you want to ask me a question, then make a proper energy exchange with me, or go study the videos yourself and read your own Truman Show map, because it's a script. You don't have any free will. It is already written. So your thing is, how do you respond to the show that's already written and being written now? So you saying, oh, I don't consent to this Pluto in Aquarius. Well, Pluto is going into Aquarius whether you like it or not. It's the death of death, and it's the conversion from meat to meta. So have at it, folks. Try and go ahead and do your quantum healing, whatever baloney and some miracle thing. But I have also experienced clients who go to shamans, because I used to act as a shaman, and I could basically work it out so that people in terrible chronic pain with like Lyme disease and brain fog, I could take that pain away from them and it would pop up right over here. And then I would take it away again, and I'd get $300 for every session, and then it would pop up over here, and then it would pop up over here. Because what I realized was that, yeah, you can work on that quantum shamanic level, but then it's going to pop up over here, and it might actually be a worse misery. So I won't even do that. I don't mess around in that realm. All I do is say, read your map so that when Pluto is going over your Mars in Aquarius, you can be assured some torturous event is going to happen. And knowing it in advance, what the script says, is my way of making it conscious and doing what I can to not overreact, fight, flight, or even freeze in the situation. I'm just very conscious of, oh, the movie's going to play torture scene now. You know, someone's going to come in and cut off my arms and legs or torture my child or, you know, kill my dog or whatever. Folks, I find that even if I totally kept my dog safe and like made sure she had all the right tags on and everything, it's going to pop up over here. So it'll be your cow. You know, or it'll be your kid. So for me, I'm just watching the script. I'm going to say something private and personal about the script, that a client came to me this week with her child had died very suddenly, did not know that that child was going to die. And I could see it in the script. I mean, I don't even want to talk about it, honestly, folks, because I can see it in the script. Your thing is to go, okay, that was already written. Big breath, deep breath, and realize that you're in a slaughterhouse realm. So it looks like a good place. You have a beautiful child. You did everything right to raise that child, and that child exits quite young. And it was in the script. It was already written. That is really hard to accept. That's why I am in that thing of, we don't evolve here. It's happening. You might call that evolution, but for me, you're just responding to the fact that you're in hell, that this is a realm that tortures and traumatizes us and then calls that growth. Whatever. If you want to call that evolution, go ahead. So let me just look at this again, saying that Pluto is the Lord of Death, Aquarius is the 8th house of death, so I believe this is the death of death, where meat becomes meta. The electrical air that we used to be wise and eccentric and out of the box is now going to be controlled into a hive mind. And stop with the quantum woo-woo, basically, because the quantum woo-woo of you doing some kind of shamanic miracle for somebody, it's just going to pop up over there. It was really clear with a client this week who's working with a very powerful shaman who disconnected some cords and then it popped up over here. So that's why I don't even try and play around. Like, I don't do that kind of stuff. You can do your own dismemberment journey. You can shrug off whatever you can during that dismemberment journey, but I'm also not even going to do that for anyone anymore, because the number of people I did that for and they had great relief and great peace, and then they would lose their video and then they'd be attached to the loss of that video. Like, oh, you can't win here, folks. It's mission impossible. I've said that again and again. And people who are realizing that, you know, they're going through a certain sense of grief and apathy here, but that is part of the dismantling process. You have to understand what this place is to collapse it, dismantle it, stop having desires, wishes, attachments, which are called greed, or being angry about what's happening here. That's why Neem Karoli Baba said hell is anger, greed, and attachment. Because if you're angry about something that just happened and you're blaming Klaus Schwab, you're not understanding where we are. Klaus Schwab is just scene 47, okay? It's just happening. You're in a movie. It's a machine. It's playing a script. You're being played inside of it. The new level of you being played inside of it is they're planning to make it an immortal prison in which no one can die. And they're collecting data on that right now so they can summon you. So be very careful. I delete all my memories on Facebook every single day. My project every morning is to go into my memories and delete everything. Because all of these things, TikTok, I mean, if you think China's spying on you, listen, Yaldabaoth is spying on you so that enough data is being collected so that you can be summoned into an avatar that is forever severed from your soul, and you cannot die. Do you like this video? I don't really care. So if you know how to deal with the filters that happen here of whether anyone likes you, whether they can shame you and say, nasty things to you and gaslight you and say that you should be naked while you're making these videos, I find it very entertaining. So, yeah, I have compassion for whatever anyone's doing here. Pluto in Aquarius until 2044. I don't care how many quantum healings you had and how much your DNA got turned on. It's not going to matter, folks. That's all a psyop. Hopium, opium. What's important is you study yourself day to day to see if you go down those avenues of trying to make a deal in this realm so that you can access more attachments, more greed, more desires in this realm. Just keep collapsing it, dismantling it, letting it go. And people find that very depressing because they're like, oh, but there were things I was still doing here. Well, how long are you going to be even in control of the things that you think that you're doing here that are not scripted when everybody's run by a 5G antenna that's up there now instead of just the archons within the simulation? Now the 5G antenna is going to have another level of interference with the ether. Okay, so my email is lalitakaroli@yahoo.com. Please do not email me unless you're requesting a session. Otherwise, you can put comments. You can disagree with me. You can criticize me. You can tell me that I should be wearing no clothes to attract more people so that I can save the world. That's good. Double dare ya. Get on the Zoom call with me. We'll make a weird video in the nude.